Greetings, fellow visitors. This is Upgrade Terminal, a Star of Providence fancast. I'm Malachi.
And I'm Nick. Welcome back to the facility. So today's episode is going to be concluding the Ship Talk mini two-part series, I suppose, where Malachi and I will be discussing the ships of Arena Blaster, Armsmaster, and Skully to sort of round out the cast with all of the remaining playable characters. But, as per usual, before we do that, we'd like to talk about something nice that happened to us this week. And Malachi, let's begin with you. What's something nice that happened to you this week?
Well, I like to go hiking, and I usually go hiking on Mount Rainier in Washington. I usually go a lot in August every year, which means the hiking overlaps with huckleberry season. Huckleberries are kind of a unique berry that's only found at certain elevations in the Pacific Northwest, and also known as like mountain blueberries. They're kind of like blueberries, but they're purple and usually a little bit more tart. I love them because I've grown up around them, and it's always, berries in general are probably my favorite fruit. But this year I had a lot going on, and I wasn't able to get up into the mountains, and specifically Mount Rainier, when I normally do. And finally had a chance to go up there this Saturday, and I was really worried that I thought that I probably had missed huckleberry season. But as I was hiking around, somebody pointed some out, and lo and behold, there were still huckleberries on the bushes. A lot of the huckleberry bushes the leaves had already started to turn like a really beautiful red color, but there were still huckleberries on them, and they were some of them were a little overripe, but I hit it was like the very last, the narrow window of when you can pick huckleberries had not completely closed, and I was still able to pick some, and it was an absolute delight.
So you got to eat some huckleberries then?
I did, yeah. The way they grow is they're a little bit hard to see. They're usually underneath the leaves, and they don't grow in like clumps or anything. There's just like little individual berries here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a while to gather quite a bit. So I probably picked like 20 to 30 and just enjoyed a couple delicious handfuls.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was just really nice that I didn't miss that. I thought I had, but I still kept my date with Mount Rainier and made it up there and enjoyed some huckleberries.
I don't think I've ever had a huckleberry. It's just not a popular thing where I'm at.
Yeah, I've never looked at exactly where they grow, but like I said, it's only certain elevations. They need like high mountains, and they're famous for being what bears here like to eat. So when you're picking huckleberries, like if you're too far out in the wild, everyone will warn you to be careful of bears. Although I've also heard that they're so distracted when they're in huckleberry bushes that they won't even really notice you because they're just enjoying the heck out of those huckleberries.
I still wouldn't risk it.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either. But yeah, it's definitely, so it seems kind of regional to me in the US.
Mm-hmm.
But because I kind of grew up in a combination of Idaho and Oregon and Washington, they've always been a presence in my life. Like in the summer, there's always people selling like huckleberry jam and huckleberry syrup and just straight up huckleberries they picked out of the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's nice. If you ever make it to the PNW, you should try some. I'll guide you. I can be your huckleberry guide.
The only huckleberry I ever knew was Finn.
Hey, and that's a good one to know. Yeah, well, what's something nice that happened to you this week, Nick?
So I kind of have two things. One of
Two
them
for
is
the price of one? Heck yeah, hit me.
the first one was that as we're recording this, finally, I got around to editing and uploading and publishing all of the sprint sets from sprint 1. They're available on the YouTube channel. They're viewable. That's just done. It's taken a long time to get them out there. It's September, I'm aware, but it's done. It's
It's
fully done.
done.
Yeah. So it's nice to just be like, okay, I don't have that weighing over me anymore. I can just like, yeah, it's done.
Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's still not a very popular event after the fact, but hey, it's done. But the other thing that happened was just a few days ago,
Mhm.
uh, something came out, something was released that I really enjoyed,
Oh,
and it's the first episode of hopefully many of a series of an 2D animated series called Knights of Guinevere.
oh, I have not heard of this.
Yeah, so it's kind of indie 2D animation from a
Uh-huh.
studio named Glitch, who has been known for making The Amazing Digital Circus, another series I very much enjoy, The Gaslight District, which I have not seen, and Murder Drones, which I will not see. But Knights of Guinevere is, I've really enjoyed it. It's not for everyone. It's a little bit dark and a little bit gory of a series, but I've enjoyed it thoroughly so much. It's such a good show. And like it's such a nice feeling when you're watching something new and you're like, ooh, I really like this. Oh, I'm so excited.
Mm,
The one disadvantage is that although I am very optimistic and saying this will definitely get more episodes in the future, they will take a while to be made. You just have to spend a long time waiting because this is indie animation. This is not like a television studio or a movie studio. They can just crank these out relatively quickly. These just take time because they're made very with a lot of love and a lot of care, and trying to avoid all of the infamous crunch that happens
yeah,
in the industry so often. So it's like
that's
you're
commendable.
gonna yeah, you're gonna be waiting months for the next episode
Yeah.
and you just deal with it.
Yeah. I think that's great. I think that's really commendable to the creators. I'm looking at a short synopsis here. It says Knights of Guinevere, new show by Dana Terrace, explores the evils of the Disney Corporation through the story of an animatronic princess and her human knights.
Yep, that would be accurate.
That's awesome.
It does get a bit it does get a bit dark because it's kind of cyberpunk in its aesthetics. It's this
Uh-huh.
weird blend of like a lot of the world is very cyberpunk, but a lot of the iconography and some of the theming is almost fairy tale like, a little
Yeah.
bit medieval. And it's this very interesting juxtaposition between these two very clashing sort of vibes or atmospheres.
Hmm.
Like, I would really recommend it. Just maybe don't watch it with your children because I don't think it's a sort of show for them.
Duly noted. It sounds really cool though.
I've really been enjoying it. It's yeah, it's fun.
Okay. And Dana Terrace was the creator of The Owl House, for those who seen
Mhm.
that.
A show that was also that when she was working under Disney until
And
the
was
show,
canceled, right?
yes, she got told, yeah, this is your last season in the middle of it. Wrap it up.
Interesting. And now she coincidentally she has created a cartoon about the evils of the Disney Corporation.
There are a few moments in the show where it's like, yeah, it's not subtle. It's really not subtle about the impact of how that felt.
That is so wonderful.
But yeah, that's it. That's it for me for this week.
Yeah. Well, we'll link to that in the show notes for sure. I want to check that out.
Okay, have fun.
And you know what? Maybe I will watch it with my kids. You can't stop me.
Oh, sure. I don't blame me when things go wrong.
Hey, I want my kids to know about the evils of the Disney Corporation.
And like bloody androids as well.
uh, they got to learn sometime.
So, as we said at the beginning, this episode is going to be all about the ships of Arena Blaster, AB, Armsmaster, AM, and Skully. Now, because, I don't know, when we did this with Sword and Chaos, we had a fair bit of say, but something about the episode felt a little bit lacking. There wasn't. I could have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
So what we did for this episode, I reached out to a couple of community members and I specifically asked them, "Hey, we're doing an episode about these ships. Would you care to send us one or two paragraphs detailing your opinions on the ships?" And
Yeah.
so,
Hit us with your hot takes. And hit us they did.
and sometimes they're just very cold
They're
takes, like,
takes. They're just takes.
yeah. So we will, at some point, we will be discussing the three ships in order, and then at some point we will be reading out the opinions of those people that we asked. We'll be crediting them. So we'll be discussing not just our own personal opinions, but also a small sample of the community as to how they feel about those ships. And
Mhm.
just to credit them right from the beginning, the community members that I've reached out to and that got back to me would be Wertus, Doomman,
Hmm.
Algol, Lurkermeyer, Callie, and Agitated Skelling 10. Thank you to all of you for your responses, for your words, and for helping us make this episode just a little bit better. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
All right, with that out of the way, let's begin proper, and we're going to start with Arena Blaster, or AB, who is visitor number 1.
Yeah.
Canonically, the first visitor to have visited the facility. So, to describe basically how AB works, AB was added to the game in the Relics of the Past update in Christmas 2019, and with Into Oblivion basically remained mostly unchanged for the most
Hmm.
part. And the main gimmick of AB is that instead of having bombs, what you have are actives or active items. And
Yes.
you find these active items. Sometimes you will find these actives in active troves. So
Yeah.
these are just little capsules which have their own little sprite, which is really nice, that will
It's very
spawn.
aesthetically pleasing. I
It
love the
is.
sprite for the active items.
Yes, it is. It's very good. And they will spawn in floors 1, 3, and 5. And I don't know if they spawn in floor 7. And sometimes you'll find them in shops, sometimes you'll find them as in sacred rooms. Basically, actives are just these items that can have a variety of effects. Like they can be like clear all bullets, which is just like a bomb, or like shoot a big laser, or shoot homing projectiles, or regain HP, or when you dash to create like a flame trail. Basically, a wide variety of possible items.
Very wide.
hmm And how it works is that as a B, you have charges, and every active has a particular cost in terms of how many charges you require to use it. And you will regain one every time you clear a combat room. And there's other ways to regain them, like a coffee power up. Like a coffee,
Yes.
you get 3 of them back.
Technically the only canonical coffee drinker in the game.
Well, Null has a coffee drinking sprite in the pause menu.
Yeah, I remember Coolant saying that's like someone was making the argument that that's soul juice, but yeah, no, you're right. But
That's
AB is the only ship that can pick up coffee in the game when you're playing.
okay. Yes, that would be more accurate, I would say. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah. So basically, with AB, you're giving up the reliability of bombs, which you're always there, with the with the possibility that you'll get a wacky active. You don't know which one because there's like dozens of these in the game,
Hmm.
and maybe you'll make a good use of out of it or not. The way that I tend to play AB, me personally,
Hmm.
what happens is that there's a handful of actives that I really enjoy using. And if I find one, I'm like, oh, yes, perfect. I love this. But there's also a lot of them where I'm like, eh, yeah. I'll pick it up if I have nothing else, but it's whatever.
Mm.
I don't know how you feel about that. If you feel like there's a very limited selection that interests you or not.
Um, I mean, I definitely have my favorites, and I do
Mm-hmm.
want to talk about those favorites in a minute. But um, I overall, I love the variety.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so as you mentioned, Nick, you don't have any bombs when you play as Arena Blaster.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started playing Arena Blaster, that was like stressful for me because I was so reliant on them. So one of the things I really appreciate about Arena Blaster is like Arena Blaster made me learn to focus on the bullet patterns more.
Mm-hmm.
Because I hadn't played a lot of shmups or any shmup adjacent games really before Star of Providence, and so like AB was really good and just kind of like weaning me off of being over reliant on bombs and actually learning to dodge a bit better. So
Mm-hmm.
very grateful to AB for that. Um, but yeah, just the variety that the active items bring is huge. I think they're a lot of fun to learn, and then a bunch of them like a hunter array, Scanner 2.0, Voltaic Thruster, Resonating Crystal, they make AB feel so distinct and cool. And to me, at least in my head canon, it makes sense lore wise because if this is ship number one, right, it feels
Mm-hmm.
like there's a lot of like newer tech, kind of like the creator is like test running a bunch of these different modules, like, what if I give them this kind of tech? Um, that's my head canon for it, but I really love how distinct AB is.
Well, the headcanon is, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this once before, is that so the only two ships that don't have bombs is AB and AM, which
Mhm.
are visitor number one and number two. And the way I interpret that is to say, well, at the beginning, like they were like the decision to give bombs to the ships is a relatively recent one, but
Mm.
because only the oldest ones don't have that as like a kind of like a default thing.
Yeah.
So it was like this is a development that came later on.
I like that. So AB just got destroyed, and then eventually the master's like,
Well,
maybe.
almost, well, pretty much all of them got destroyed
No,
one
that's
way or
true.
another.
So it's like maybe I should give them some sort of explosive device that will destroy bullets. I like that a lot.
Hmm.
So, what are your favorite active items for Arena Blaster?
So the way that I play Arena Blaster, my favorite actives are things related to resource generation.
Mm.
So the active that just makes crates, great. I
Oh
can just
yeah.
generate items. The active that restocks shops, it's like, oh, I can just buy more things. Uh, this one's the favorite for a lot of people. The one that just excavates rooms, so just
Oh
make
yeah.
more rooms. People have like posted screenshots on the server, like, yeah, I excavated the entire floor because if you get lucky with drops, or like because every time you clear a combat room, you get a charge. You can excavate into a room which has enemies, and when you clear it, you get an extra charge. So
Mhm.
you end up regenerating a big percentage of them,
Yeah, you can like excavate endlessly until you've cleared the entire floor.
pretty much.
I've never done that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Uh, Anything that gives you straight damage is also good.
Yes.
And I will have to make an interesting note here. Pre Into Oblivion, I really loved Grim Idol, which is the active that generates.
A
Uh,
cursed weapon.
yes,
Mhm.
but specifically, it's because before Into Oblivion fixed it, what you could do is you could generate multiple cursed weapons and equip all of them as long as the equipping animation for the first one had not finished, and
Oh
you would
wow.
stat and you could gain the unequipped benefits of both of all of them. So what you could do is, if you had capacity, which is the AB exclusive upgrade that lets you charge up to 12 charges, and Great
Mhm.
Armageddon will take 6. So what you could do is like, okay, wait until you have a non-cursed weapon, generate two cursed weapons with Grim Idol nearby, and then
Mhm.
in a very succession, equip the first one, this first cursed weapon, second cursed weapon, and then the normal weapon, and you would get plus 10 damage plus 4 HP, and you would
Wow.
still finish with the normal weapon because the equipping animation overruled the cursed effect.
Oh my goodness.
And then Pure fixed it. And now you can't do that anymore. You can't do
Yeah.
that. It was such a funny way to play the game in
Mm-hmm.
Relics of the Past, and Into Oblivion was like too much fun. We can't
Huh.
allow that.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. I missed out on that loophole.
I mean, if you are playing on Steam, you have access to the old build, so you could do it still if you really
Oh,
wanted to.
that's true. I could go back.
Hmm.
Somehow that feels fitting to go back to an older version and play AB, the oldest ship.
What about you, Malachi? What are some of your favorite actives?
Well, there's quite a few, but there's definitely one I have that is my absolute favorite. But first I want to say I love the tomes.
Hmm.
I don't necessarily love them as active items, but I just love that
The
we're using
theme.
there's a tome for each of the schools of magic in the game,
Hmm.
and I just think that's so cool. There's kind of like a tome for each of
The seven schools of magic in the game.
exactly that are represented by the council
Mhm.
members, and I just love that aspect of it. It's very, very cool. So whenever I get one of those, I'm very happy. I just think it's sweet. But my favorite is probably Cleanup Crew.
Uh, summon a whole bunch of wise guys.
Yeah, I think it's 5, right? It's 4 or 5.
A handful of them.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's just like you just summon them in, and they don't stay for too long, but you can, like, using Cleanup Crew against a boss or in a room, you clean up pretty quickly.
Hmm.
And in my mind, like, canonically, I think, well, in my head canonically, the wise guy you can hire with contract later in the game, I'm like, is that the last of the Cleanup Crew? There originally was a whole Cleanup Crew, and the last one is like, well, I guess I'll just sign individual contracts now and just head out with visitors, because the Cleanup Crew guys look exactly like the contract guy.
Hmm.
But anyway, yeah, that one's my favorite. I just love summoning a bunch of wise guys to
Hmm.
mow through the baddies.
It is pretty funny.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
yeah. Well, shall we read some community opinions on Arena Blaster?
Let's go ahead and do that. So the first opinion is from Wertus, and they said, quote, I find Arena Blaster to be rather hard to learn because of the lack of bombs and the active items often being very gimmicky. You usually end up looking for one of a few specific actives such as Excavation Kit. I find them fun, but they do demand a high skill floor. Unquote.
Algol said, quote, whenever I'm going for a harder challenge run the first time, such as Loop 13, I tend to prefer using the base ship since bombs are extremely useful. After that, though, I actually think I prefer playing Arena Blaster due to the variety of actives. Almost all of them are a lot more interesting than just using bombs, in my opinion. I like how there are some actives you will typically want to hold on to for the short term, whereas others can shape an entire run. My favorite active item is Titan Fist, the one that launches foes and blocks alike and takes one charge. For only one charge, you could instantly kill any enemy if you were able to line it up in such a way so that you can crush it with the block. You could even bounce blocks backwards if they are next to another block, which leads to some satisfying trick shots. It also provides a way to manipulate the terrain and break into those pesky pure rooms. I love how it gets you to think about the room layouts in a different way and rewards you with some easy kills for doing so. I think the nuance in just this one active alone shows why I like Arena Blaster as a whole. Unquote.
Doomman said, quote, a character that on paper should appeal to me because they have a similar system to that of games like Castlevania and Ninja Gaiden, where you have a default moveset and weapons you find and you can either switch to others depending on situation or stick to what you like. Sadly though, I found AB too random feeling because some of the actives are not great. It's similar to cards where it is either one of the best things ever or just confusingly lacking.
Lurkermeyer said, quote, Arena Blaster is a funky little ship that is also very rewarding. The fact that it throws out bombs and that not all its sub-weapons are strictly good gives it an expert feel, but you also get a lot more play variety that way. It's tempting to stick to a sub-weapon that feels optimized, but I like to push myself to rotate often for more unique runs. Unquote.
Callie said, quote, I think AB is probably one of the most powerful ships in the game next to Overlord, just because of the potential you have with all the tools at your disposal. I do think there is a ton of filler actives, but in the end, regardless of what you do, you're basically still playing as base null, which has no bombs, you aren't really nerfed in a significant way, unlike someone like Chaos or Skully, where your run could have been so much better if you just have had played just base null or D13. On my tier list, I put AB on S, and even though I think he is kinda RNG reliant, even just the good actives like Ghost Bullet or Golden Gun are still really powerful. End quote. So, those are, again, this is just a small sample of opinions, but I like this sample. I think it's telling that there's a variety of opinions on AB.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like what Lurkermeyer said, that they like to push themselves by rotating through the active items and not just using what they like, and that makes the runs more unique. That's something about Star of Providence that I love in general. Like, I love all the weapons and I just love the variety. And so a lot of times, even if I take something that's suboptimal for the run, I'm still enjoying it, Like, I like that there's that many flavors. These guys, Team D13 puts Baskin Robbins to shame, is what I'm trying to say. They've got so many flavors.
I think one of the things that I think people generally agree with is like there is plenty of variety. It does feel like some of the options are just very meh.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a theme of like, from a lot of people, some actives kind of overshadow a lot of other ones, and it's like, well, yeah, this is neat, but like it kind of like, if I when I have these actives, why would I pay attention to that? And like, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's saying like, yeah, people will inevitably have their favorites. I like that we heard a lot of different actives being mentioned,
Yeah.
but it's kind of inevitable. Like, well, yeah, you're not gonna like all of them, but there's always going to be someone who finds this one active really cool and interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just kind of like, it's okay if you don't like all of them, because there's always going to be people who appreciate the nuance of certain specific, very particular skill sets.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Let's move on to the Master of Arms, Armsmaster.
Armsmaster, Visitor number 2. This one is the newest character in the game. It just got added in Into Oblivion, did not exist in any way in Relics of the Past. And the
Mm-hmm.
way AM works is basically, instead of having bombs, you just have a second weapon. So the way this works is like, when you start the game, you have no weapons and no bombs. You equip a weapon, you have your weapon. When you equip a second weapon, instead of overriding the first one, it will still be equipped in your backup slot.
Mm-hmm.
And using the bomb button, you shift between either the first weapon or the second weapon, and you can switch between them even in the middle of combat. You can switch between them when you're picking up ammo or keyword stones. There
Mm-hmm.
is a bit of a delay in like how quickly you can shift between the two, which I think is there for balance reasons. It would be a little bit overpowered if you could just switch between the two really fast and fire them.
Yeah.
But basically, it is like, okay, you can just have two weapons and one of them as a backup. And I think this is like, conceptually, it's a very simple to understand change. It seems very like, oh, we changed one thing, but in practical terms really affects the way you do runs in this game. I feel like this is a big change in how you approach things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And I think that complete strategy shift makes playing as Armsmaster really fun.
And like, I've written down here that for instance, one of the things you can do is like, you can just have like two good weapons and like just be like, okay, I have ammo for one or the other. But
Mm-hmm.
you could do things like, okay, I have a weapon for up close encounters versus a weapon that's better at far away fights.
Yeah.
There's weapons that are very good against multiple targets, and weapons that are good against one single target. So you can swap between those, or like you can have a weapon that's like good at dealing tons of damage, and another weapon that's like for utility, like, oh, this one has phasing, or this one can get rid of blocks. Like, there's the fact that you can combine weapons like that, it can really open up the game and the strategy. Like, and it has been really rewarding for me seeing people in the Discord server talking
Hmm.
about how they approach the strategy of having two weapons, and like what they would equip on one slot and then the other, the considerations. And like, yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and I'm happy to see people really getting as much out of that as they possibly can.
Yeah, I agree. In my notes, I called it weapon synergies, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just, whether it's like you said, like, you got a sword and shotgun fireball, and you're just swapping between the two. Like there's all sorts of different considerations that you have. Like ammo management in the base game is very crucial,
Mm-hmm.
but it's even more crucial when you're playing as Armsmaster because, if you run out of ammo, which I did completely on my most recent run as Armsmaster, there's no secrets and shortcuts for you on that level. And so I kind of like that. It's a small added layer of stress, but I love that it, like you said, it completely changes things up. And I really hope, I mean, speaking of like people having unique weapon synergies they've thought up, I kind of look forward to seeing Armsmaster races and Sprint at some point because it would be
Mm.
really, really fun. When we've talked about Sprint in the past, one of my favorite things about Sprint is watching, and roguelites in general, right, is watching how people approach the decision making and thinking about the logic and, oh, what are they doing here? It would be so fun to watch people going through the game as fast as possible and trying to like maximize their weapon synergies. Like
Mm-hmm.
that just seems like it'd be fun. And I also have to say, one thing I love about Armsmaster is the fact that when I pick up one of my favorite uniques,
Mm-hmm.
like let's say Iron Fist, I can hang on to it and I can swap back to it and get a little ammo for it whenever I need to. Like, I love that aspect of Armsmaster, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that alone just like justifies it being in the game because usually uniques, you have them, it's just so fleeting. You have them for mere moments, and to be able to hang on to one and just pull it out and scare the crap out of all the enemies in a room is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the thing is, because you have two weapons, it's a lot easier to keep salvaging weapons.
Hmm.
Because while ammo management is still important, you now have two pools of ammo at your disposal.
Yes.
And so you can just keep salvaging weapons again and again and again. And like, the thing is, you can have one weapon that you really like, and then another weapon you just like whatever, and like, I'll just have it always for salvaging. Like, I'll have this weapon to deal damage, and the other weapon to like, oh, this one is for opening up secrets and shortcuts, and for salvaging whenever I want to get the HP back. Like, you
Mm,
have that flexibility to use weapons in that way. Like, yeah, but having two weapons at your disposal for different purposes and having two ammo pools to manage is, I think, just like, okay, it really opens up the game for some people. Like, I'm not surprised that some people AM is their favorite, because it's like, it allows them to really do things that the game would just not allow them to do otherwise.
yeah.
And you're still using the same weapon system, you're still using all of the same mechanics. It's, again, it's a simple but very impactful change, and I think this was a home run when it came to for Team D13 to design a new character. It's like excellent stuff.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
really is. I agree with that. And lore wise, I love that Armsmaster is basically like a challenge seeker who found a home in the gauntlet. Because, I imagine them training with Ace and like, like having fun trying to get new high scores running through the gauntlet.
I don't think
Like,
there's scores in the gauntlet.
well, I guarantee you Armsmaster in the gauntlet is definitely tracking their score. In my head canon they are.
Okay then.
But anyway, I
Mhm.
love that aspect of it.
Mhm.
And that's Because that's how you unlock Armsmaster, right? You beat them in the gauntlet.
Yes, that is how you unlock them.
Yeah, you got to fight their bulked up ship.
With that being said, let's read some community opinions on Armsmaster.
Callie says, quote, AM is on the much weaker side of the spectrum. His gimmick feels like it doesn't shine a lot during the early game, which is where you want to be stronger so you can snowball your run towards the end, even though he shares the exact same downside with AB, but you just don't have the same potential as AB. AB kind of just wins automatically with an OP active, and his unique upgrade capacity just wins more, where with AM, you don't really have that leniency. He is probably my favorite out of the three, and I think he is a ton of fun, especially with salvage as you're starting to upgrade, but I feel like he could use some extra max ammo or something, unquote.
Lurkermeyer says, quote, Armsmaster is such a great ship, I'm surprised it didn't come along sooner. The guns in Star Prov are so polished that having two at once is like a cupcake with twice the frosting. With a single gun, you usually want something optimized for room clearing, but a backup slot gives you freedom to bring your favorite situational weapons. Unquote.
Doomman says, quote, I have a love-hate relationship with this character. When Armsmaster gets things going, I think it is the most fun ship in the game. However, I also think a lot of the time it is the weakest. Every ship has its thing, with most of them being their bombs. When it isn't bombs, it's AB's actives and Armsmaster's second weapon. Armsmaster needs to go through quite a bit of the run to essentially stop being a worse version of every other character, and even then runs into issues no one else does, like not being able to do their thing during breach rooms or with cursed weapons. Having to spend ammo for things like walls while still using ammo on crates can be a bummer too, since you cannot just replenish ammo on a room-to-room basis like you do bombs and actives, unquote.
Algol says, quote, out of all the extra ships, this is probably my favorite. I find the simple dual weapon gimmick is balanced well with the base mechanics. My go-to setup is usually to find a good weapon for dealing with bosses, and then keeping a sword for general room clearing and defensive purposes. Swapping to the sword to deflect bullets kind of makes up for the downside of not having bombs. It also reminds me a lot of playing Nuclear Throne. Opening up rooms with a charged weapon and then swapping to a more sustained firing weapon is also a fun combo. The other reason I appreciate this ship is because it allows you to keep unique weapons around for longer, especially with Pack Rat. I've always felt the concept of unique weapons sometimes clashes with the game encouraging you to scrap weapons as much as possible. With this ship, I can keep any unique weapon I want while still engaging with the scrapping mechanic via the second slot. Unquote.
Exactly, Algol. Okay, Wertus said, quote, just like Arena Blaster, the lack of bombs makes Armsmaster hard to get into, although I tend to not struggle with it as much when playing Armsmaster. My favorite aspect of Armsmaster is how much you can tinker with weapons, storing one weapon while swapping the other, as well as increased keyword stone and max ammo spawns, allow Armsmaster to have a lot of control over what weapons they can use. My main gripe with Armsmaster is mainly that it can be difficult to really get into the weapon managing if you get very few weapons early on, unquote.
Agitated Skellington says, quote, haven't played a whole lot of Sims, so I don't have much to say, unfortunately. Armsmaster is not as tough to play as Skully, but definitely tougher than Arena Blaster due to how your build comes online by F2 at earliest, if not by F3. I guess being able to quickly switch to the sword to swat away bullets is pretty cool, or having two crazy powerful weapons at once for maximum power. I just wish cursed weapons didn't completely kneecap the main gimmick and let you use secondary weapons ammo for shortcuts and crates and change that weapon to for sweet salvage dosh. Unquote. So I think the consensus here in this small sample is, yeah, it's pretty cool and it is fun, but it can take a while for that to really come through or to like get rolling. It depends a lot on just the weapons you get. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you get to keep two good weapons, but you still need to find two good weapons to keep. And sometimes we all have floors where they just like, yeah, you're just not getting it.
Well, Algol and I are on the same page. Exactly, Algol. I love Algo's like, I appreciate the ship because I can hang on to the uniques for longer, especially with Pack Rat. Yes, exactly.
I think this is one of those things like if you really love the weapons in Star of Providence, this will really appeal to you.
Hmm.
But if you're someone who really likes bombs, this is going to be a bit of a hard sell because it's like, well, maybe you can get a defensive weapon with like sword or like shielding razor, but now you have to find it. And like a question I did want to ask you though,
Yes.
because kind of been implicit, but like I want to make it more clear is in these two ships, AB and AM, are the two ships which do not have bombs.
Yes.
Do you think that it is worth giving up bombs for their actives or the second weapon?
I mean, my go-to ships are probably still Nolan D13.
Mm-hmm.
Just I like running through the game as Nolan D13.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so gun to the head.
Well, it's not that drastic, man.
I would still choose a ship with bombs
Mm-hmm.
because I enjoy using those. But I love that these ships exist and that they have their own unique mechanics.
Yeah. I still think like knowing when and how to use bombs is an important skill set
Hmm.
because there's a certain kind of player who just doesn't think about bombs. It's just not something that they are considering. So for them, these ships might be like straight upgrades. Like, oh, I don't even have to worry about that. Oh, I don't even. I have an excuse to not use bombs now because I don't even have them.
Yeah,
But bombs are a really powerful tool at your disposal, and I think it is a good thing that they are, in a sense, the default by virtue of being what Null and D13 have.
yeah,
It's just very good. Like, is it worth it to give it up? Because you're still actively selecting this is what I want to play, you know what you're giving up, and you know that you are gonna be left to the whims of luck as to what you get. Are you gonna
hmm
get a good active? Who knows? Are you gonna get the cool weapons you want to play with? Who knows? Like, because that's the thing. Like when you play as AM, yes, you get to keep cool weapons. It doesn't make getting the cool weapons more likely in the first place.
yeah. That's a good point. For me, it kind of feels like if I can make a food analogy, it's like going to a restaurant I like,
Mm-hmm.
and 9 times out of 10, I'm going to order the food I know I really like and I'm going to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, that one time I'll say, yeah, you know what? Let me try something new. And because you don't always know what you're going to get, like you said, with Armsmaster and AB. So
Mm-hmm.
most of the time I'm gonna be running the game with Nolan D13,
Mm-hmm.
but every once in a while I come back to Armsmaster and Arena Blaster.
Mm-hmm. All right. And now, last and definitely least is Skully.
Oh, I can hear the angry fans typing their hate mail right now.
We both said on the podcast we have an anti Scully bias, and there's just no getting around that. Neither
Yeah.
one of us really likes playing as Scully. I would definitely say he's my least favorite character to play in the entire roster.
Hmm. Yeah, and remind listeners why. Why is Scully our least favorite ship?
I mean, like okay, let's explain how Scully works. So, a bit of history here. Scully released in Relics of the Past originally, and Scully's gimmick has always been modularity in weapons. The way it used to work in Relics of the Past is that weapons would, instead of having weapons, you would have modules, and modules would be basically they would modify stats and maybe give you permanent keyword abilities to your weapon because you don't really your pea shooter is Scully. You would just, instead of putting weapons on top of it, you would just be modifying it with stats and keywords and such.
Hmm.
It used to be that you could just equip an unlimited amount of modules as Scully in Relics of the Past. You could just stack these as many as you wanted, as many as you could find. There was no limited inventory slot for them. But the thing was, is when you run out of ammo as Skully in Relics of the Past, you would just revert back to your pea shooter. Like the moment you hit zero ammo, back to the base pea shooter, and you lost all of the effects of the modules you had equipped.
Yeah.
This was not a very well designed character. So, come into Oblivion update, Skully got basically reworked from the ground up. We still have modules, but now Skully has a grid of modules.
Hmm.
And when you pick up a module, you just pick up what is like a little Tetris piece like thing, and you slot it somewhere on your grid, and there you have the module and all its effects.
And that like plugging modules in is very satisfying, I have to say.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I'm glad you described them as Tetris blocks because that's also how I think of them.
Hmm. Yeah, and you also have a whole bunch of stats as Scully, and some modules will tell you, yep, this modifies this stat, this gives you this keyword, and now when you run out of ammo, instead of just reverting to a useless pea shooter, you just do less damage and fire more slowly. So you're not completely crippled if you run out of ammo.
Mhm.
But you have a very limited space with which to equip modules. So you have to be a lot more deliberate in what you equipped.
Yeah.
N-
A lot more thought going into it.
Let me be clear. The Scully that was the version of Scully that was brought about in Into Oblivion is many, 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 many times better than what was in Relics of the Past. It is so much less of a brain dead character where you just pick up everything and just whatever. There's now now you have to have a consideration. You have a limited amount of space. What kind of a loader do you want to build?
Hmm.
There's a lot more. You have to be a lot more aware of what you're doing and what you're building towards as Scully in this new version of the game. It is a much better version of that idea.
Yeah,
I
I agree
still
with that.
don't like it. I respect it, and I respect the people who like it.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
Yeah, I think it's the system's really neat, and I did some Scully runs in preparation for the episode, and I have a lot of respect for it, and I think it is way better than what it originally was. Um, I will say this: in Relics of the Past, I played Scully one time. I beat the game with Scully's one time, and I was like, I cannot play this again because it just wasn't fun, right?
Hmm.
This new Scully, every once in a while I probably will play a Scully, right?
Hmm.
So for me the difference is vast. This Scully is a lot more interesting and rewarding to play. That being
Hmm.
said, just the non-canonical aspect of Scully appeals less to me,
Hmm.
and this is something we said in our original episode of Scully. I haven't listened to that in
A
years now, but
while.
yeah, but I know that you and I both were kind of like the serious tone of Star of Providence. I mean, there's a lot of jokey jokes in it,
Hmm.
but Scully just kind of hit me the wrong way because I'm like, yeah, Scully, you read the room, man, But I admire that the joke has been taken so far, like, Scully having unique interactions with the final upgrade terminal and things like
Hmm.
that. Like that is all very good. So a lot of respect for Team G13 and redesigning this and making it something that's way more compelling. And like you said, a lot of respect for the people that do love Scully because, hey, I get it.
Hmm. But at the end of the day, it's just something that does not appeal to me. I still much prefer the weapon system that most characters use.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think will be echoed in some of the opinions is that with Scully, your runs you can end up with a run that has a supremely busted combination of modules, as some people on this server have demonstrated. Like, yeah, I got this combination of modules, and now every time I enter a room and press the fire button, everything explodes. Cool. You can also have runs where it's just like complete garbage. Like, you get nothing. You get nothing, and you're like, what am I supposed to do with this? I can't do anything. And I think part of the reason for that is like, unlike weapons, you can't toggle modules off. Like
Yeah.
if there's weapons in the games that you don't like, the game gives you the option. Okay, you don't like spear, you can just turn off spear. You don't like railgun, you can just turn off railgun.
Mhm.
Modules offer you no such flexibility. It's you have to deal with the entire pool of modules all at once. And there's a lot of them that give you like one-time benefits when you equip them, like, oh, you gain ammo or HP or shield, and then it's like, yeah, and then like, okay, that's it, you're done. Like, there's nothing to do. It's not like a permanent boost to you. So to me, it feels like, well, that's kind of like,
Definitely inferior to some of the other modules.
it feels bad. It feels bad when I get, yeah, it's the opportunity cost. It's like I could have gotten something like this, instead I didn't. I got this stuff.
Mhm.
I think at the end of the day, there's really nothing that can be done. Like, we just don't like Skully for the fundamental aspect of what the character is like.
Yeah.
But
Well,
again, we respect it. But like, the humor of it does kind of make it feel like it stands out in a way
mhm.
that doesn't. Like, they don't even have a visitor number. It's like, well, how do they fit into all this? And the question is, they kind of don't.
Yeah. But Scully has this attitude too that kind of is really fitting for that kind of character, you know?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I do think that that aspect of it is really done quite well where like he like Scully just doesn't really give a shit, you know? So I can imagine Scully like listening to this and just rolling his eyes.
I don't think he has any.
Uh, that's a really good point, Nick. Should we jump over to the community opinions here?
Yes. Doomman says, quote, fittingly, Scully is a weird one. They have a playstyle that I feel one either finds cool and then ignores in favor of the other ships, or finds it the most awesome in the game and has a hard time going back. I am more of the former. I still don't find Scully too satisfying to use. I do enjoy them when I complete Tier 4 Temple, but that is like saying this Metrovania is nice, but only after you unlocked all the upgrades. Cool concept though, unquote.
Algol says, quote, my first thought upon seeing Scully's new UI after picking up a module was something along the lines of, what did they do to him? It feels less like a different character and more like an entirely different mode. I love it. The grid is a very cool way to limit the amount of modules you can get in a run and add some meaningful decision making with each new module. Filling out an entire grid with no spaces left unused is always incredibly satisfying to me. I do, however, feel like he's not the most balanced character, which I suppose is in line with his previous incarnation. It's very feast or famine for him, with some runs being absurdly powerful, while others can leave you with a very weak weapon. I've had some runs where I felt like I had an interesting synergy, but it ultimately ended up feeling weak in the late game, which is never a good feeling in a roguelike. From what I've heard, the grid mechanic was thrown together in a few weeks before the release of the update. From that lens, I'm just impressed it ended up working as good as it does. I do hope he gets some improvements in later updates / DLC, since he is a really interesting character to me. As a side note, I find it funny that the most complex ship to play is a snarky mechanical skull that loves to listen to the jukebox and wear sunglasses. Unquote.
Wertus says, quote, Skully is definitely the most unique of the ships and the one I use the most. The modules allow for a lot of customization and run variety. I do find that some modules are a bit unbalanced, so depending on your luck, the run might be relatively easy or very hard, especially since Skully can't gain permanent damage or max ammo naturally. But overall, I really like how he plays, unquote.
Callie says, quote, Scully is probably the most controversial ship in the game with his unique module system, and I have to say he's a ton of fun most of the time. I feel like innately he is the most RNG-dependent character in the game, just because of how pathetic your weapon genuinely is without any upgrades and zero ammo. And it kind of feels like a really harsh nerf for just running out of ammo on the character with perhaps the worst ammo economy in the game. Outside of that, I think he is super unique, and I honestly hope Chaos also gets the same treatment he did because his first version was pretty half-baked, and Chaos feels like they also need a good overhaul with a new, cool, unique system. Unquote.
Agitated Sculling 10 says, quote, There are two Skullies, Relics of the Past Skully and Into Oblivion Skully. Former is nothing short of pain incarnate, and holy crap was he rough. I love the idea, but the execution, god, the execution. Modular weapons are an interesting gimmick, but the way it was executed runs ended up being our GG no re levels of damage, but you have to wait forever between firing or you do barely more damage than your pea shooter, but you have lots of Daka or you have neither and you're basically screwed. Sometimes a miracle happens and you manage to strike some sort of balance between the two and get a passable, maybe even great run. It took me a long time until I have finally gotten that Skully clear. It was an ordeal and a half, but was it worth the effort? It was an ordeal and a half, but it was worth the effort. It's one of those achievements I feel kinda proud of. Come Into Oblivion, Skully got a much needed overhaul. Unfortunately, a few things had to go, like Laser Blast, wish Laser had a Gatling keyword that fires these, and that one cool Thunderhead unique that dealt huge damage at the cost of heavily reduced fire rate. But hey, in return we get a handful of modules to play around with, and a cool inventory to place them in. I think New Skully is rather fun to play actually. Even if my runs were doing too hot, they were entertaining at least. I really should try beating hard mode one day. I've heard Skully had a unique animation for it like Overlord has.
Lurkermeyer says, quote, Skully is king. He is number one. Some of his module combos are surprisingly underwhelming, but he gets the best fashion accessories and the most hilarious alternate dialogue. He could have easily been a meme ship, but he's impressively full-featured. Unquote.
I mean, both. It's both. So I think the consensus is that, yeah, people are aware that Skully is kind of a divisive ship design.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, some people really love Skully, they really enjoy him, and some others are like, yeah, it's okay, it's fine. People tend to respect Skully's design even if they don't like him, which is pretty much where we stand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I still think he's a meme ship, though.
Oh, so do I. Which is why I don't like him.
Hang on. Sorry, somebody is like repeatedly pinging me on Discord. It's a user named Skully42069. What? He says, you think I'm a meme, huh? I'm hacking into your lame fancast right now to drop the first single from my new record, Canonically Awesome, dropping June 7th, 2026 on Sentinel Records. Get wrecked, noobs. I don't know who... Oh my gosh. Nick, I've lost all control of Zencastr. We're just going to have to ride this out. I'll see you on the other side.
Little ship, please, just get him out of my inventory.
Okay, fine. Here, take the scrap.
Finally. He's your problem now.
Hey, little guy. What even are you? And why is there music starting?
What am I? Well, allow me to introduce myself, little ship.
Okay.
I'm a skull, I'm a mech, not a room I can't wreck. I chase eternal power like a fire bat out of heck. I see the crawler ladies and I wanna connect. You can try and kill me, gun, I'll hit the hub, resurrect. There I'll be, mugging at the mirror, smiling, talking to myself cause I'm my only peer. If you try to block my road, I just shift the high gear. No stranger to danger, but a stranger to fear.
Full on stranger to fear.
Some players say he's too mean, but with the shades on he's so damn dreamy. Favorite beverage, whole milk so creamy. He says every other ship is just a blip that wants to be me.
Every other ship is just a blip that wants to be me. To be me.
When I'm on a run, got a good build going. Big brain plays, got the good juice flowing. Winking at your girl and I got her glowing. My weapon makes the baddies like grass and I'm mowing.
Always ahead, cause I don't have a body. But if I did, you can bet your bullets that I'd be a hottie. Feature so fine, you'll find to your eyes I'm delicious. I broccoli, not candy, yeah, this handsome punk nutritious. Agent Mulder says you're tough, I'm Skully, bitch, I don't believe. I'll send you to your funeral, then show up, watch your family grieve. No arms, but I still wear a bagel. Fuck you, patch upon my signal, spit to mark your shitty grave. I'll blast your headstone before I leave.
Gonna blast your headstone before I leave.
Some players say he's too mean, but with the shades on he's so damn dreamy. Favorite beverage, whole milk so creamy. He says every other ship is just a blip that wants to be me.
every other ship is just a blip that wants to be me. I got a reputation that you fools will never solely. Try as you might, you'll never understand me fully. Enigma even to enigmancers. My fucking name is Skully.
What have I done?
Nick, are you there? Can you hear me? I have been so excited to drop that. Oh. Are you like offended? Oh. Hello. What? Not a fan?
This is really pushing the maxim of like, don't care about being cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh god.
That's fine. Tell me how cringe it was. I'm the one being cringe, not you.
I need a minute.
Oh. It being cringe was the point.
I can tell. I might.
Well, I wasn't expecting it to make you nauseous.
It doesn't make me nauseous. I'm not gonna throw up or anything. It wasn't that bad. Not at all.
Oh, okay.
When I heard you say you had a song,
Mm-hmm. You had a real bad feeling.
no, I was thinking, okay, that's weird, but sure. Oh god. Okay.
This is
Okay.
the exact reaction I expected, and I think I should leave all of this in.
Okay. You know how you just remind me here, just to make sure I understand.
Uh-huh.
You said you did not like Skully
Uh-huh.
in part because of the massive shift in tone he represents.
Mm-hmm.
And this does not apply to this.
This is me embracing Scully's shift in tone.
Gotcha.
Are you really that opposed to like including it?
Like with Skully itself, I'm not sure I'm a fan of it overshadowing everything else around it. But
Well, that's why I saved it for the end. I don't think it'll overshadow stuff. Thanks so much for listening to our Star of Providence fan cast. Big thanks as always to Garoslaw and AlexMdle for allowing us to use their music and sound effects in the podcast. Our intro music was made for us by Garo, and we love it. Thanks, Garo.
you can find all of Garo's music over at their Bandcamp page. And in this episode in particular, we would like to thank all of the contributors who gave us their words to help us complete this episode. So thank you to Wertus, thank you to Doomman, thank you to Algol, thank you to Lurkermeyer, thank you to Callie, and thank you to Agitated Skellington. You helped make this episode what it is.
Thanks again, guys. If you have any comments or suggestions for the show, you can reach out to us on our Discord server. We'll post the server link in the show notes.
And there you will find fellow pilots to talk with and discuss the show. Thanks for listening. We'll hope you'll join us next time.
This is what you came for, isn't it?
So be it.
The most depressed so be it Nick has ever uttered.